Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you all are doing great. Today I'll be talking about the MacBook Air M1. I have been using this MacBook now for almost 1 year. So this review is not going to be a very technical review. It's more about my own personal experience. When I decided to get a new laptop, my number one criteria was, will I be able to make and edit videos for YouTube? And the second one was definitely the budget. The model that I have is the base model with 8 GB RAM, 256 GB SSD storage and a 13.3-inch LED backlit display. The MacBook Air M1, launched in 2020, has been discontinued this year, so it's no longer available on the official website. However, at the time of making this video, you can still buy it from Amazon. It's available for 71,990 rupees, while in the US, from Apple's refurbished online store at $759. In contrast, the base model of M2 MacBook Air, released in 2022 on Amazon, is selling for 90,990 rupees, while in the US on the Apple website, it's priced at $999. Of course, these prices do keep fluctuating and you can even get a better discount deal. So if you're thinking of buying a new laptop or a new MacBook, I hope you find this video useful. Initially, I had three major apprehensions. My number one was, will I be able to edit smoothly? My second concern was, I thought the screen is perhaps a bit too small, both for editing as well as, for watching movies. And my third concern was, is it going to be really difficult making the switch from Windows to Apple's Mac operating system? We will delve into all these three issues, but first, let's talk about the build and the design. As soon as you open it, it's such a beautiful machine. It's so thin, it's extremely light. It comes in a wedge-shaped design, which you won't find in the M2 or the M3 Air. It has a really strong aluminium build. It weighs around 1.29 kgs or 2.8 pounds, and you can carry it anywhere so easily. I use a sleeve to protect it from scratches, and I can put it in my handbag and I'm ready to go. Here I have two sleeves. When I was traveling, I had a lot of things to carry. This pink sleeve was taking a bit too much space, so I used this tan one. It's really streamlined and doesn't take a lot of space for traveling. The not so nice thing about the design is the limited ports. The M1 Air has 3.5mm headphone jack for audio and just two Thunderbolt USB-C type ports. So you basically have no choice but to get a dongle if you want to connect any devices which have a USB type A port or SD card readers or a HDMI port to connect to either a TV or an external monitor. In comparison, M2 and the M3 MacBook Airs both have an additional port for charging called the MagSafe charging port, leaving both the two USB-C type ports free. The M1 has a backlit Magic Keyboard, which is so very convenient in the dark or when you're working in the night. And the typing experience on it is very comfortable. The trackpad is fairly good size, it feels quite large. However, I am someone who definitely needs a mouse to be more effective and productive, and with just two ports, I decided to buy a wireless mouse because you need one port free for charging and you need the second port for a dongle or to hook up external storage, because the 256 GB SSD storage in M1 or even in the M2, M3 in the base model is simply not enough. Let's unbox this really quickly. The model I have is the Pebble Mouse 2 350S Slim from Logitech. I specifically chose this because it can be connected via Bluetooth, so I don't need a port to hook it up, and it can connect to up to 3 devices. The battery is included with claims that it can last for 2 years. So you don't need to deal with the hassle of recharging it all the time. I've been using this mouse now for around 6 months and I've not had any issues with the battery so far. Okay, now let's try connecting this mouse with Bluetooth. The mouse feels really smooth. It's quite compact, so it's very portable. I really appreciate the silent clicking. It's a nice feature to have, especially when you're working with another person in the room, which in a kind of way complements the no fan silent design of the MacBook Airs. At the beginning of this video, I spoke about 3 of the major concerns I had about the MacBook Air M1. My number one criteria was, will I be able to edit smoothly? And I was especially keen on using DaVinci Resolve. I've been editing with video resolution of 1920 by 1080 pixels, and I generally prefer shooting in 4K on my phone. So the answer is yes, you can edit, you can use DaVinci Resolve as well, and you can edit using 4K videos as well. I did experience a bit of a lag or a kind of a glitch. I think especially because I'm using 4K, so the size of my files is fairly large, and when you add on certain effects in DaVinci Resolve, sometimes that's when you experience a bit of a lag. The solution to this is to make sure to close any software or browsers which are open in the background, and you will be able to go ahead with your editing. So I think this is where the limitation of the base variant comes in picture with 8 gigs of RAM. And if you are someone who's looking to get a MacBook, especially for editing, in an ideal scenario, it's probably a great idea to get the 16 GB RAM and the 512 SSD at the time of making this video. If you were to increase the 8 GB RAM to 16 GB from Apple India website, it's going to cost you 20,000 rupees. On the Apple US website, it's going to cost almost $200 extra. So any upgrades are definitely not going to be cheap. Since M1 model has been discontinued, it might not be very easy to get the 16 GB variant. It probably makes more sense then to consider the M2 MacBook Airs. This is also one of the major cons of buying a MacBook Air, is that you cannot upgrade your RAM or your storage in the future, unlike a Windows laptop. Of course, the lag that I'm talking about only happens when you use it for heavy editing work. If you use this machine like a regular laptop for checking your emails, for surfing, for watching movies, and just as a regular normal laptop, it's extremely fast and extremely speedy. And it can also handle light to medium editing like a breeze. Even in the case of 4K editing, if you are a content creator who normally makes short form content like Reels for Instagram or YouTube Shorts, the base model of M1 MacBook Air can handle these short form 4K videos. Besides editing, I use my MacBook for pretty much everything. I watch YouTube, I listen to music, I watch movies and dramas. Which brings me to the second concern I had, is the screen a bit too small? The M1 comes with IPS display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600 and peak brightness of 400 nits. Watching movies on it is actually quite a pleasurable experience. The screen is extremely clear, it's very crisp, it's very vivid, the colors really pop out. The M1 has a color accurate display, so it's great for any color sensitive work like video editing or photo editing. The display is so good that frankly you kind of forget about the small screen, except when it comes to editing. When you edit, the screen can sometimes feel a little bit too cluttered and you kind of miss having a larger screen. I have a really old monitor in my family, so I bought one of these all-in-one dongles, especially because it has a VGA port and I can use this to connect it to my monitor. Unfortunately, this turned out to be incompatible. My advice is to buy something like this, a single dongle for VGA port separately, just because you cannot be 100% sure if it's going to be compatible or not. The MacBook Air M1 is only able to connect to one external display with up to 6K resolution at 60 Hz, while the new MacBook Air M3 chip released in 2024 is able to connect to up to 2 external monitors with the lid closed. So if you find the 13-inch screen a bit too small, you have two options. You can either connect an external monitor or you can buy a MacBook Air with 15-inch screen, but the cost of your MacBook is of course going to increase with a larger screen. The 15.3-inch screen is only available in the M3 chip MacBook Air at the time of making this video, though you may still be able to find 15.3-inch MacBook M2 Air on third-party retailers like Amazon or Flipkart. And my third concern was making the switch from Windows operating system to the Mac operating system. I didn't find the switch to be very difficult, and this is because I actually made an effort to learn the Mac OS as soon as possible. It can be a little frustrating in the beginning, frankly. What I do miss is MS Word. There is MS Office, especially for Mac, the paid version which you need to install on your MacBook. If you do not want to pay for it, there is a free version of MS Office Online which you can use. There is also the Apple ecosystem. If you have an iPhone, obviously you can enjoy the benefits of a seamless integration between your MacBook and your phone and all your other Apple devices, such as using the AirDrop feature to transfer files. The M1 comes with a 720p webcam. It's good enough for video calls or meetings, but if you are a content creator who wants to live stream, then the webcam is definitely below average and a disappointment. You can use apparently your iPhone camera as a webcam. So again, here is the benefit of the Apple ecosystem. Meanwhile, both the M2 and the M3 have a webcam of 1080p. The speakers on MacBook M1 are pretty loud and clear. I use them all the time to listen to music and watch movies, and you don't feel the need for external speakers, at least in a medium-sized room.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine.
As per Apple, you can get around 15 to 18 hours of battery life, but in real life, it really depends on your usage. I consider me to be a heavy user. I use my MacBook almost every day, and when I'm doing really heavy editing using 4K footage on a really heavy editing software like DaVinci Resolve, I find myself needing to recharge sometimes almost every 5 to 7 hours. My battery health is 88% after almost 1 year of very heavy usage. So which MacBook is the best for you? Is it MacBook Air M1, M2 or M3? Now is perhaps one of the best times to buy a new laptop with the annual festival sales just around the corner on both Amazon and Flipkart. Buying a new laptop really comes down to only two things. What is your number one need? And second, what is your budget? MacBooks are known to be really good choice when it comes to editing. They are also known to be good for coding, especially for students, though I do not know too much about coding, so you will have to do your research there. The MacBook Air especially are extremely portable because they are so light. They are really fast. They have a fanless design, so you could pretty much use them anywhere, like on the bed, on your lap, and you don't really have to worry about it. The best thing about MacBooks are the long battery life. In most cases, you can probably use it for the entire day without recharging it. And the MacBook Airs have extremely beautiful build and design. In my case, my number one criteria was editing, and I got an awesome discount deal during the sales. So I'm quite satisfied with my base model for the time being, despite some of the cons that I talked about in this video. If budget is a constraint, then choose between either the M1 MacBook Air or the M2 MacBook Air, the base variant, that is with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 SSD storage. I would personally choose the M2 base variant, and my reasons are simple. The M2 was released in 2022. Apple generally provides software supports for around 7 years, while the M1 was released in 2020. So you get more longevity with the MacBook Air M2 chip. There are other advantages of M2 as well. The screen is slightly larger at 13.6 inches with 500 nits brightness. With 1080p, it has a better quality of camera in comparison to the 720p of M1. It comes with MagSafe port, so it has an extra port for charging. The M2 is available in wide variety of colors: silver, starlight, space grey and midnight. Last year, the M1 was available in 3 colors: silver, space grey and the very popular gold. However, I could only find the space grey on both Flipkart and Amazon at the time of making this video. The M1 is available on Amazon for 71,990 rupees, while the M2 MacBook Air is available for 90,990 rupees. With the upcoming sales, you might be able to get the M2 for maybe around 70,000 rupees. And I think that would be an awesome bargain. If it is possible for you to increase your budget, whatever you choose, whether it's the M2 MacBook Air or the M3 MacBook Air, going for a configuration of 16 GB RAM and preferably a 512 GB SSD storage will future-proof your MacBook for many years to come, because these cannot be upgraded in the future. Make sure you really look after your MacBook. The parts can be really expensive, especially when out of warranty. If I wanted to replace my battery, it would cost me around, let's check on the Apple website. The rough estimate is 15,500 rupees. On top of your budget for the MacBook, you need to also keep an extra budget of around 10 to 15,000 rupees for must-have accessories. You will definitely need to buy a sleeve to protect your MacBook when you're traveling, which would cost you around 1,000 rupees. You do not want to buy a very cheap dongle. You need at least a decent quality dongle, which could in fact cost you around 3,000 rupees. And with just 256 GB of storage in the base model, a Samsung SSD portable drive with 1 TB space can cost you around 10 to 11,000 rupees. So this is all for today's video. I hope you have found some of the information useful. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.